How to use page object model in Playwright. Let's start by using two already written E2E tests as an example without using page objects. Here's the first test. It logs in with correct credentials and verifies the welcome message. And here's the second test. It attempts to log in with incorrect credentials and verifies the validation message. Duplicating code like this makes maintenance harder and increases the chance of errors. The page object model helps us solve this problem by centralizing page interactions in reusable methods. Let's refactor these tests using a page object model for the login page. Here's how we encapsulate actions like entering credentials and clicking buttons as methods. Start by creating a new folder named Page Objects and a file named loginpage.ts. Define a class loginPage. Inside the class, define properties for each element using Playwright locators and initialize these locators in the constructor. Then create methods for actions like async enter username, async enter password, and async submit login to interact with these locators. Now, let's update the test to use this page object. First, we need to initialize page in test. Then we will update the code blocks to use the methods contained in the login page class. If this concept is already familiar to you, we can go even further. Instead of creating 3 methods, let's create one method that does all the logging. Adjust the test to use the newly created method. Notice how much cleaner and easier to maintain the tests are now. Let's do the same refactor with the second test. Run the tests and ensure it passes. Let me now introduce some new things. First, why do we use sometimes private locators and in a few public locators? What is the difference between the two? In TypeScript, private restricts access to a property or method of a class, allowing it to be used only inside the class. Public, on the other hand, allows access to a property or method both inside and outside the class. Now, let me explain to you how parameter passing works using the example of method loginUser. The method loginUser is defined to accept 2 parameters called username and password. Both parameters have a type of string, which means it can only accept text values. When we call the method like this, the values admin and incorrect password are passed as arguments to the method. Inside the method, admin is assigned to the parameter username, and incorrect password is assigned as parameter password. The fill method fills those input fields with the values stored in username and password. Using parameters makes your code reusable. Let's say we have to test with multiple usernames like admin, user123, and guest. Instead of writing separate methods for each username, we can use this single method and pass different values to it. The same method works for all these cases because the parameter username and password changes based on what values we pass. Let's wrap it up. Think of the page object model as a toolbox for organizing all interactions with a page in one place. The toolbox page object groups all locators and methods for a specific page. The tools, locators, and methods make it easy to perform actions without repeating code in every test. When the page changes, you only need to update the toolbox, and all your tests remain intact. With this approach, your tests are cleaner, more maintainable, and easier to read. If you find this tutorial helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.